All right, folks, this is a continuation from the YouTube show. We're back now at the back channel, and this will also be on Rumble at a later date. I'm back with Laura Eisenhower and Stuart Swerdlow. Um, this is Laura. I'm going to have you bring him in and give him the correct introduction, but this has been a fascinating discussion. He's a Project Montauk survivor. Folks, if you missed the YouTube show, you got to go there and watch it, get caught up with what we're about to talk about right now, because this is where we go deep, but you should have the surface level understanding of what's going on. Laura, go ahead, take it away.
Yes. So, gonna read his bio here. Stuart's been a good friend for many years, and we're gonna get into some of the recent peace talks and what's going on with America and Russia meetings with Trump. So he is author of 50 books and counting. Stuart Sverdlov's great uncle, Yakov Sverdlov, was the first president of the Soviet Union. To ensure that his family's loyalty stayed with the U.S. government, he was recruited as a child for specific government mind control experiments, including 13 years of the infamous Montauk Project, which is an offshoot of the Philadelphia experiment, which enhanced his natural abilities. Today, his mission is to help others heal themselves in a positive way, thus avoiding the negativity he experienced. A gifted hyperspace intuitive, he has the ability to see auric fields and personal archetypes, as well as read DNA sequences and mind patterns. He is a doctor of alternative healing. He's a naturopath and deprogrammer with a medical license in indigenous medicine.
So,
So good to
yeah, go
see you.
ahead. You want to kick it off? Go ahead, Laura.
Oh yeah, well, we were just talking about
Well,
America and DNA. I mean, I just have to say, just there are, I think, manipulations that would want to turn something into a religion, but I only speak from sovereignty and humans being sovereign about DNA or anything like that. But we're gonna move into a different direction, right? David, you wanted to talk about the experimentations on
yeah,
children.
because
We're
so
going to talk about the Moabs and what's currently going
right.
on that we're being bombarded with, and then the peace talks.
Okay, because everything he was talking about obviously is sounds like an intergalactic type of war going on for this planet, for humanity. I've always said this is a spiritual war. I was just on the Timcast podcast, and they call it the cultural war, right? It's all of the above, but this is diving so much deeper into this that I really suggest everyone have an open mind for this and really try to understand what the information this guy is putting out there. So I just want to just recap a little bit. Stuart, you were taken in as a child to work at the Montauk base. You were experimented on because of your family lineage and pedigree, correct? You want to just touch on that just for a second, just for this audience to get caught up?
Yeah, it has to do with my great uncle Yakov Sverdlov, who was again, as Laura mentioned, the first president of the Soviet Union, and actually his son Andrei created KGB, and that's because of him that Putin has a job. I have to remind them of that sometimes. And because of that lineage, I was taken into Montauk Project and other projects over the course of my life, and also uh, asked by the American government after the Ukraine war started to be a back channel between the United States and Russia.
You
And
were
so,
asked when the Ukraine war kicked off to be a back channel. That's incredible.
yeah, because all of the communications, all the consulates, the embassies, the official channels were closed. And you might recall at that time is when Brittany Griner was arrested in Moscow airport because she had some things in her purse that were not allowed. And so I was asked by State Department and Pentagon if I would communicate with the Russians because I do have a communication with them all the time. I'm on Russian television. I do interviews. I do a series across Russia of seminars. And they said to me, ask them who they want in exchange. And I said, they're going to ask for a lot of things. What are you going to do? They said, we'll give them whatever they want. So I communicated and went all the way to Putin's office and to Lavrov and to Viktor Khmarin, who is Putin's confidant. And I said, the United States is asking you to exchange Brittany Griner, and they will give you whomever they want, you want. And of course, they came back with people who were not being held in the United States. They were being held in Germany and other countries. And so I said, Are you willing to talk to these countries, to the United States? I said, and make the exchange. And as you know, the exchange did happen. And subsequently, they asked me to help with the Paul Whelan exchange, which I did this as well. And then the Russians asked me if I would be willing to lead an American delegation to Istanbul. This was for November of 2023, to make a first public meeting between American citizens and Russian citizens to create a foundation, to create a reestablishment of relationship. So of course I had to get permission. And I said, they said, who can you, they wanted me to bring Elon Musk. They wanted me to bring all these people. I said, these people are not going to come. I said, in the United States back then, if you mention Russia, you're executed. You can't say anything about Russia or that you're doing anything to help them. And so I said, I have an idea. I said, I know Laura Eisenhower. Would you? Ah, we love Laura. Everybody in Russia loves a Laura Eisenhower. Yes, that's the most brilliant idea you ever had.
Really?
Yes,
Cover?
they just love. And so, what's not to love, right?
Right.
And so I asked Laura, and Laura is always wonderful, and she does wonderful things and agrees to help all the time. She's absolutely super fantastic. We love Laura very much. And so so I created this group, American team. One of them is I can't mention his name because I didn't have permission to mention, but I call him Space Director. Laura knows him. And I also brought my youngest son, Jonathan, who lives in Iceland, to come to Istanbul. And so we met with Khamaran and Olga Zinovьeva, who was the wife of a dissident that returned to Russia. It was a very big meeting. But I think Laura doesn't know this. Before we met in the conference room, Viktor Khamaran, who was a confidant of Putin, he said, I want to meet outside of the building in the picnic area because just to discuss it, because I guess the place was bugged, obviously, and KGB was all around. And so we sat at a picnic table, myself, my youngest son, the space director, the Russian team, and surrounded by KGB. Everybody was wearing bulletproof vests like me. Like, well, I guess I'm expendable. Uh, and so we had big discussions there. And Viktor Khmarin said specifically, we have nuclear submarines on your East Coast, on your West Coast, and with one missile, we could destroy Yellowstone volcano and destroy the United States.
Yeah, but that's also destroying the world.
That's what he said. He said, we understand there's retaliation. We understand we would all, he says, but if you back us in a corner, and so I don't know if I should say this even on this station, because the director said to me, I'm going to say something to them and I want it to be translated. And I said, okay. And he said to Viktor Khamarin, he says, well, since you're going to F us, can we choose what kind of lube we want?
Wow.
And I thought, now we're all going to die when he said this.
Right.
The Russians look at each other and they look at us and look at him and they just started laughing hysterical. And then they started talking more. So it kind of broke the ice.
Wow. So that little bit of humor there did the trick.
I thought this is the end, but it was actually good. And Victor, because the Russians know me, and it was my birthday week, and the Russians, Victor brought special vodka from Moscow. He brought snacks. I think Laura, you were there at the party, the little party they made for me in the restaurant there, and it was very interesting. And so we discussed, and we each had a speech to make, and it was recorded. It was in Russian news, this meeting, people to people, no governments, people to people. This was part of the whole humanitarian efforts to create peace on the earth. And so Western media refused to pick up the story. They absolutely refused. I was attacked. You have no idea. Well, I'm sure you do have idea. Um, and so um, and so that all led back and forth to a couple of weeks ago, Alaska. It was because of our meeting in Istanbul that led to the State Department, the Pentagon, and finally President Trump being elected to meet with Putin. Why did they pick Alaska? First of all, you have to remember, Alaska used to belong to Russia. It was Russian territory. So it was kind of a common ground between the United States and Russia. And from this, they hope to create peace. Now, I was told before the meeting that it was not going to be completely successful. And I get debriefed once or twice per week by this director from the Pentagon and State Department, and also from military intelligence. And so I, I am told what's going to happen, and it does happen exactly that way.
Wow, I would love to bring you on as a general in the general's tent at some time. Would you be open to that, to take questions from the audience?
Of course, whatever you wish.
That'd be amazing. And you could help with that as well, Laura. That'd be a great stellar general's tent.
Yeah.
Um,
And
let's it,
Laura was amazing. She had an amazing speech. Everybody loved her. And I made my speech as well. And my son made a speech, and he got an ovation. Do you remember, Laura? He got an ovation from the Russians from his speech, and the Russians made him youth director for their country and for the world, to help young people to become aware of situations. And so, David and Laura, I suggested to the Russians a few months ago that to update this meeting, that we should create the Committee for Global Peace. And the Russians said, if we do this, they would bring in 150 nations to join this, and it would replace the United Nations.
wow.
Nobody likes the United Nations. They're a corrupt group.
That is the new world order right there, basically.
Yes, it's the deep states, the New World Order, yes. But here's something you should know, and I think I've discussed this with Laura as well. There is an agenda. Instead of a New World Order, that's old news. They're creating superstates, and we're seeing that form right now. So there's going to be an American superstate, a Russian superstate, and a Chinese superstate.
So they pivoted.
Yes, because they realize the whole world isn't going to work together like this, that there needs to be a common understanding of certain groups. And that's why Trump took Greenland, and that's why he wants Canada, and that's why El Salvador accepts American prison, and so on and so on. And that's why the American Navy is in the Caribbean to eliminate Maduro from Venezuela. And so we're seeing slowly.
So Trump's creating a super state?
An American superstate, yes.
What? So he's playing ball with these guys. I mean, is this for the good, better of humanity, or is this kind of going in the direction of the New World Order?
No, he's creating. You have to understand about Trump. He's a lot about money. Okay, so that's why there's all the gold in the Oval Office now. All of a sudden, looks like gold place.
Yeah.
And one of the things I'm doing with the director, one of my assignments, is I'm working with governments in West Africa and the Middle East for gold, because they're going to create a digital currency backed by gold. They're calling it crypto right now, but that's because that's what people understand. But ultimately, let's say by 2027, this will morph into a gold-backed digital currency.
What will it be? Do you know? Do you have any idea what will XRP? I've heard a lot about XRP.
Whatever you've heard, it doesn't exist. This will be something completely new.
Okay.
But here's what Trump is doing in his brilliant way. He's kind of undermining the Russian and Chinese superstates, because that's why he said, oh, Gaza would make a nice resort area that we can control. And I'm going to take Greenland. And guess what? He's also taking Iceland. And he was invited by King Charles to Britain next month so that the Americans will join the Commonwealth countries. And then they have to defend each other. And so the UK and the Ireland will be under the American superstate, not Russian.
So it's kind of just a different path to the same goal.
Well, let's just say it's a step towards common goals to be achieved within a group of nations. The United States doesn't have much in common with Ukraine, with Kazakhstan, and so on, but Russia does. The United States doesn't have common with Vietnam and Philippines, but China does. So that's why we're seeing China go into Philippines, Taiwan, Vietnam, and so on. They have been given all of East Asia. Here's the contingents, let's say the issue. China wants Australia and New Zealand. And that's why, if you remember, a few months ago, Chinese Navy surrounded Australia. Do you remember that?
Yes.
That was a warning. And they're also all over the South Pacific Islands. China has now established control over many South Pacific islands, which will be part of the Chinese superstate. So Trump, in joining the Commonwealth, then has an obligation to defend Australia and New Zealand. You see? So he's kind of undermining the Chinese from taking those countries.
Are they going to take Taiwan?
Yes, and nobody will defend them. And that's why
Kind of a deal that's been made, right? They're kind of like, yeah, you can have Taiwan. We're creating these super states. You take Taiwan. Man, this is very good intel that you're giving my audience.
yes, and I hope I don't get in trouble. But
Well, I mean, yeah, so where are we at right now with the Ukraine deal? What does that look like? What's transpiring? What direction do you think this is going to go?
okay, so I was told that Zelensky would not agree to anything, and he didn't. He's a puppet of Soros. And he is getting, for the Russians told me, that Zelensky's getting $100 million a month to be acting president of Ukraine by
How
Soros.
much?
100 million.
Zelensky's getting 100 million a month. Wow.
Well, why would he give up that job? So
So
first of
he
all,
needs war.
he needs no deal. He needs to stay like this for kingdom come. So his family doesn't live in Ukraine. He does not live in Ukraine. His family and Netanyahu's family live in Miami. They're not in their countries.
Can you say that again? Zelensky's getting paid $100 million a year to stay in power.
A month.
100 million a month to
Yes.
stay in power.
Yes.
That he was placed in power by, I'm sure, many special interests, but one of the puppet masters is George Soros.
The puppet master of that. And by the way, Zelensky is not the legitimate ruler anymore because his term of office expired and there have not been elections. So who is really running Ukraine?
So we should never expect a deal with Ukraine and Russia. Never. It's not going to happen.
And also, I was told there will never be a deal between Israel and Hamas either.
There'll never be a deal with Israel Hamas. There'll never be a deal with Zelensky and Russia. And China will take Taiwan to create these super states. That is just in your opinion, is this a better option than the New World Order, or is it just an alternative, or is it just a different path getting to the New World Order?
It's a matter of opinion. I think that initially it's beneficial to each of these groups, to have a superstate. Remember what Ronald Reagan said. He envisioned an economic and political nation from, he said, Alaska to Argentina, if you remember. He said that in the late 80s. So the plan was already being formulated then. Wow. And here we are. We're about to invade Mexico. We're about to take over Mexico.
Correct. And the only thing standing in our way are the cartels, but they're going to be wiped out like nothing.
Disintegrated.
They've already been taken down, many of them, correct?
Yes, and we have aircraft carriers on the east and west coast of Mexico. And I said, Why are they there? I ask questions when I'm debriefed, and they said to me, "You'll see in 30 to 90 days why they're there. Just watch."
So this is serious. This is like, because I've always told everybody, I go, the cartel. I'm from El Paso, right? I live here in El Paso, Ciudad Juarez. So I've witnessed the cartel wars, not like first being there, like, but I'm saying I know the how bad it was. Juarez, Mexico, Ciudad Juarez was like the murder capital of the world. I know
Yes,
how bad this gets.
yes.
I'm very surprised there's been no pushback so far. I can't even believe that the cartels have not started any kind of wars here on our soil or bloodshed, cartel warfare, car bombs, politician car bomb. I mean, I can't even believe Claudia Scheinbaum's still alive. What is going on with that? Like, can you give me any information on that? Because I really thought there'd be bloodshed on American streets by now.
Well, there has been, there has been. Um, but Claudia Scheinbaum works for an arm of the cartel, which is controlled by George Soros.
Mm-hmm.
So she tries to act tough, but she has no power.
No,
She
she
really,
was put in place by the cartels and George Soros.
yes, correct. That's correct.
But what I'm saying is she's having to comply with Trump, which is like a massive tug of war on her soul or who she is. What I mean is I'm surprised she's still alive.
Well, here's the thing. If she acquiesces to what Trump wants, he'll save her life. If she doesn't, she'll be killed anyway. So it's in her best interest to go along with what Trump says,
Wow.
even though publicly she says the opposite, as all politicians do.
But the cartels are not going to put up with that.
You know what? They are not even human. They're demons using human bodies, basically. All of these people who rape and murder and kill, they, I'm against murder. I'm against violence. But these people are not human beings. They're demons, and they need to be eliminated.
Which is why we talk about the tunnel wars and all that. Can we talk about that right now a little bit since we're on the back channel? Can we talk about exactly what the cartels, who the cartels are, the tunnels underground? Do they lead to deep underground military bases? Are they using adrenochrome from children, et cetera, et cetera? What can you dive into?
And the Saturn cubes have very much in the underground and ask.
All the above is correct. And it's not new. This has been going on for literally centuries. This is not new. It's only now being publicly announced in some ways. But these cartels are outgrowths of ancient religious sacrificing. For example, the Mayans, people glorified the Mayans. They killed children, they cut their heart. This is just an extension of them. Same thing happening in the Middle East.
Time out. I've always said this. I've said the cartels learn their methods from the savage Indians, like the Comanche, the Aztecs, that sacrificed virgins and children to the gods. Right. It's the same people.
It's satanic. For example, if you know what happened in the Middle East after the time of King Solomon, when Queen Jezebel and King Ahab took over, and they did human sacrifice and children sacrifice to these gods, these satanic gods. All of this is what has been extended globally, and Hollywood was part of that as well, and that's why. The good news is, just the other day, Trump said he's going after Soros and his son Alex. And when that happens, Zelensky's finished.
That's why he's doing it.
Yes, and that's why the Russians are just, taking their time. Here's the thing, David. Russia will go across Europe. They will go all the way, and Putin said it, to Portugal. Nobody is going to stop them. And here's the history lesson that people need to know about Ukraine, because Westerners are ignorant of history. I'm sorry, but it's true. The name, do you know why they used to call it the Ukraine instead of Ukraine? Was the, because in Russian, Ukraina means borderland. So it was the borderland. Ukraina is the border with Europe. It was always Russian. The first capital of the Russian Empire was Kiev.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yes. And that's why the Russians said Ukraine is not a state. It's part of a Russian empire. It always has been. Look up Ukrainian history. There isn't one. Only since World War II, Ukraine had been controlled by Russia, by Poland, by Lithuania, by the Mongol. It was never independent. Maybe a few years. That was it. That's what people don't understand. Ukraine is a Russian territory.
You know, it's funny. My sister did a DNA test, Laura, with my family, and we have like 80% Ukrainian blood.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
we found out a lot about my family. I better drop the name Rodriguez, by the way. But
It's a cover.
yeah, I didn't. I mean, there's a lot of questions on my dad's side, but we'll just leave it at that. So, can we go into a little bit about the children and some of the experiments you saw? Besides, I know you said the Montauk chair and things like that. I mean, were they torturing and killing children? And how did you escape?
Well, because of my genetics and because of my mental abilities, I was used as a control. I was used as a booster for the person on the Montauk chair. In other words, I was like a battery pack. My energy went into that person in order to enhance their mental capacity on the chair. So that's why I was saved, so to speak. But the children, yes, they were tortured. And adrenochrome is a real thing that comes out of the pineal gland during the height of fear. And then they extract it and they sell it as a narcotic. You know all of this already.
I've heard
As
a liter of it goes for $1 billion. Is that true?
I don't know the price because I don't buy it.
Right. No, but I've heard some outrageous stuff on the internet. I'm like, I wonder if that's
That's a
true.
little bit exaggerated. I don't think nobody could buy it for $1 billion.
Right.
Uh, but it's probably a few thousand a vial. Um, and they also use it's a terrible thing to say. The blood of these children acts as a rejuvenator for people who are aging, for example, and they use this and it rejuvenates them. And now many of the actresses in Hollywood have said, yes, I use the blood on my skin to make they admit it.
Yeah.
And all these people that moved away, Ellen DeGeneres, what's her name? The one that hates Trump.
Nicole Kidman's leaving.
Donald,
Oprah.
they moved away because they're afraid of being prosecuted because Trump's going to go after them.
But he's going to get him anyway.
Do you see all the CGI with Oprah too? Like Oprah's gone.
Yeah, look, you really think that's her
Oh.
with the skinny little body she has now? All of a sudden,
So they've been using adrenochrome. They know they've been busted. It's over.
yes, yes.
Like the AI is taking over though and making it look like they're still around. They're trying to you can tell it's not real footage of these individuals that are doing ads or acting like they're still here.
Yeah. The AI, you just cannot tell what's real, what's not real. And I'm going to tell you that the AI we see now, and I have to say it's AI quantum. It's not just AI, it's AI quantum, because that won't become real, powerful until 2028. Because what we see now is just rudimentary AI. Think of AI as information and quantum as the speed of that information. And according to the director, the country that becomes expert in AI quantum technology will take over the entire planet.
That's why Trump teamed up with Palantir.
Yes, correct. That's correct. And Zuckerberg is in trouble, and all these people are in trouble. Zuckerberg is lost all his meta AI engineers because he offered. Remember, he offered $1 billion. He didn't offer $1 billion. That's the media. He said, if you do blah 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 for me and it's successful, then I'll give you $1 billion. But everything you create, I own. So who's going to do that? You're a slave and you take the money and my creation? No.
Did Trump have a deal with Elon that he kind of reneged on? Because why would Elon go against him, or was that scripted?
Okay, I'm going to tell you something that's confidential.
Okay.
though it's going to be. Elon has a problem mentally. You know, in
I can
South,
see that.
yes,
When he was on the press, he was like
yeah,
he was withdrawing.
he was programmed by the Fourth Reich in South Africa, who are based in Antarctica. Elon has emperor programming. Trump has savior programming. They go together. You understand? But I'm just going to tell you, Elon has seizures. He has a big problem, and he doesn't take his medication all the time. And that's why Trump lets it go. He doesn't really attack him, kind of lets it go. And now they're back together again, by the way.
He's on the spectrum, isn't he? He's
Well, it's a big spectrum,
right.
uh, but he has seizures. He's not well.
Damn, everything you're saying is resonating. I know for a fact this is true. I mean, just by looking at him. So the whole thing that happened with on X with Trump, where he said he's on Epstein Island, can we talk a little bit about that? Do you know anything about that? The files, why isn't it not been released?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why, because I was debriefed on this.
Okay.
First of all, Epstein is a Mossad slash CIA agent whose job it was to get dirt on people to blackmail them. That's number one. And so the reason they can't release the files is because there are very deep NSA, CIA, Mossad agents who would be revealed and become a target and vulnerable. So it cannot be revealed publicly because they would be, their
But
lives.
now everyone's saying, but now the deep state's playing the hand of, well, Trump's on them. That's why they're not revealing them.
No, that's not the reason. The reason is because there are agents who would be exposed and be killed. Trump is a good person.
Yeah, I know he is. Yeah.
I personally had experience with him 33 years ago. And at that moment, I said, I will always support him, even though it was before he became political.
What's going to happen? I mean, I guess the big question remains now that Russiagate's popping open. I know it's going to lead to the 2020 stolen election. It's going
Yeah.
to lead to a lot of other things. I believe arrests are coming. I think that's why Trump is putting the National Guard in certain states. I can kind of see it coming.
Yes.
And then a lot of chaos and protests are going to unravel civil unrest. Am I right in saying that?
Correct. Absolutely correct. I was told this 2 years ago
Okay.
that this was going to happen. And I was told that it would be in all the major cities, and that there would be a segregation of blue states and red states, almost like separate countries. And that's what's happening now. When the super states, actually before, the new capital, now this is what I was told recently. The new capital of North America is in Mar-a-Lago, is in the Palm Beach area. That's going to be the global financial center and political center. And every billionaire is going to be moving there if they want to be part of it.
So when this happens, I would imagine it's going to kick off this fall. I kind of just feel like that's common sense that this fall is going to be explosive. We can see a certain type of civil unrest slash civil war, correct? I mean, happen in the States. Maybe not. And that's why he's moving all the troops in everywhere because he knows this is going to kick off in every major city. How fast do you think we get this remedied?
I was told by 2028 it'll be resolved.
Whoa, that's longer than I thought.
Yeah, it's Trump knows he has 1 year from now till the middle or the end of 2026 to get the financial, political, and economic foundations in place.
And the voting systems.
Yes, he will not stay in office until 2028. It will be given to J.D. Vance.
Oh, come on, man.
He will be known as the technology president, and he will have 2 terms after that. So it's a 12-year agenda.
Oh, why JD, man?
Well, that's what they told me that he was. And you know who chose him is Don Jr.
I know. Oh, dude.
Yeah,
Really.
I'm just telling you. That's
What about Steve Bannon or Don Jr. himself? Why not Don Jr. himself?
You know the answer to that question. He's not a let's say a persona who could be in the public and likable. You understand?
Is he
So
Cannon or Don Jr.?
both,
I
both.
like Don Jr. I met Don Jr. I thought he was a likable guy.
But he's not a
He's not like his dad.
yes, and he has no filter in his mouth.
Well, neither does fucking Don Senior.
Because when you're almost 80, it's different than when you're in your,
So,
50.
so we can expect the reason that they wouldn't keep Don Senior in is it because maybe he's approaching 80, he's
Yeah.
getting older. We know that his faculties are going to start declining.
Well, again, I'm going to be in trouble, but I was told that they already notice a cognitive decline. And his own staff is concerned about what he's going to say next. And so that's what I was told.
Wow, I am just Laura. Go ahead, ask a question. I'm just blown away right now. I'm like, this has been one of the best podcasts I've ever done.
Yeah.
Seriously, like I am so impressed, man.
I'm just telling you what I know.
I know, but it's just fascinating, dude. I just leave it to Laura. Laura, you bring on some of the best guests, man.
She's my favorite person, Laura.
Yeah, she's wow.
I love you both so much.
I mean,
Oh
dude,
my God.
I am just blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you beat this podcast.
Yeah.
I have
Well,
more things to tell you that's not so nice.
Okay.
I don't want to interrupt if you have questions,
no,
but
I mean, go ahead. Go ahead. I do have a question, but I know maybe David, we could do a part 2 even.
Yeah, let's do the general since September and have the audience ask away. Ask every
But
question.
what do you want to say, Stuart?
well, in 1993, NASA noticed supernovas explosions in the Eta Carinae star system and in the Betelgeuse star system. And they knew that there were massive gamma rays exploding from those areas heading towards the Earth. So in the last 18 months, the planet Earth has been bombarded with heavy gamma rays that are also affecting the sun, which is then creating massive coronal mass ejections. These gamma rays are causing the magma underneath the Earth to intensify and heat up, which is why we're having all these volcanic eruptions and larger earthquakes. This is particularly dangerous along the Pacific Rim and in the Mediterranean basin. And so people need to be aware that the Earth is geologically changing, and it has nothing to do with global warming or anything like that.
Or any of the technology that they may be using to start an earthquake or a volcano.
Right. It has to do with the magma rising to the surface, and it's deforming the upper crust of the Earth and creating earthquakes in places where they thought the fault lines were dormant, where the volcanoes were. There's no such thing as a
We've
dormant.
had earthquakes here in El Paso.
Yes, yes. West Texas and Southeast New Mexico, very volatile at the moment.
For earthquakes.
Yes.
There's no volcanoes around here, I don't think.
Well, there are so-called extinct ones,
Yeah.
but they're not extinct. And this Sierra Blanca Mountains, you know this?
Yes, and there's nothing to stop this. There's no way to.
We are trying to create a project. We need funding to put a plasma shield in the ionosphere of the Earth to block the gamma rays. But we're running out of time. In addition, David, there are subatomic particles called muons, M-U-O-N-S. Readers can look it up. They're naturally in the environment, in the universe. But in the last 6 months, they've noticed an increase of muons bombarding the Earth, and these muons can penetrate rock. They can penetrate granite. They can penetrate DNA and change DNA, which is why the animal behaviors are becoming violent. There's cougar attacks, coyote attacks, a shark attack. They're going berserk because the muons are changing their brain waves and their DNA, and also human beings are being dangerous and violent. Now, here's the thing. they notice that some muons are not natural. They're artificial muons that have an AI programming, and nobody knows what it's telling the DNA to do.
Cell phone towers.
They're coming from kind of,
People are becoming unhinged and changing.
Oh, okay, you're saying
right
it's coming from
in
outer
front of you.
space.
Well,
Yeah.
isn't this why people's behavior is like just changing and people
Yeah.
are turning into something other than
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So we're screwed either way. Who
even the
cares?
animal kingdom is having anomalies with their DNA.
Right. Correct. And here's the other problem. It's creating a massive field of plankton and algae in the oceans, which is blocking sunlight from coming into the oceans and causing problems in the sea life as well.
But there's no way. I mean, if this is what's happening at this cosmic level, how do you stop it, man? I mean,
Well, like I say, we're trying to get plasma shield to block it. We need to get greenhouses with a shield so we can grow food, because you will not be able to grow food on the ground. It will have to be, unfortunately, artificially grown. And water is going to be a problem as well, because the water is being contaminated by the gamma rays and the muons. So human beings are in big trouble right now. So the political things, in my opinion, are the least of the problem.
what about chemtrails? I mean, are chemtrails trying to, maybe that's why they're out there? Are they trying to block these gamma rays or?
Chemtrails have been around for decades already, and they're kind of diminished. You don't see so much anymore. Um, people know that we have a trouble. That's why Trump met with Bill Gates. That's why he meets with these people that you wouldn't expect him to meet, because he needs their money to create the plasma shield. He needs their help, because you know what? If they don't, they're going to die too.
No.
So
How
everybody
long
needs.
do we have? What's the estimated time for this?
It's not tomorrow, but we don't have decades.
But this is something with there's more there. I mean, with the Sophionic corrections and the grid work and the guardian forces that are part of all of us that
But-
are awakening have a communication and connection with this earth. We're not separate. I mean, we're part of this healing journey, right?
I look at it like this: as dire as it appears, I look at this analogy. If you take a piece of metal and you heat it up and you bang it and you hit it and you burn it and you put it into the oven, it comes out to a shiny, gorgeous sword. So humanity is being beaten and burned and abused so that it becomes a benevolent, wonderful, high-level race.
Yeah.
The alternative is not good. So people need to wake up and say, okay, I'm going to fix my mind. I'm going to fix my spirituality. I'm going to fix my actions, and I'm going to do the right thing. That's what we need to tell people.
Yeah. And that's why I bring it just back to the Christos Sophia, not in a new age way, but it's that hierogamic union. It's the integration of polarity, moving beyond the tree of knowledge into the tree of life again.
Correct. And how about this? Merging the two so that they're one.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why we suffer now. When we have a choice, do we let the suffering take us over, or do we change our ways and stop it?
Yes. And that's why all this adversity is an opportunity to step up and be the
That's
better
correct.
versions of ourselves.
That is the absolute correct thing. That's correct. Yes.
Well, Stuart, I appreciate you. Where do people go to find your work?
Expansions.com, EXPANSIONS.com. I hope I spelled that right. Expansion.com.
I'll make sure you get all the links.
And
Thank
Laura, as you as well. You as well.
CosmicGaia.org.
Yes, and we do every Saturday we release a news video, which Laura gets every week, and
Oh my gosh, these Janet and Stuart's videos. Oh man,
Wow.
they're great.
This has been so informative. Can you guys stay on with me just for a second as once I stop recording for a second?
Ah.
All right, folks. I hope you feel the same way I do. Wow.